Look around you. Surely right now there is someone draining your energy without you even noticing. It's not your declared enemy. It's not someone who openly hates you. It's worse. It's that person who camouflages themselves as a friend, as a close family member, as an understanding partner. And that's the problem. You don't recognize the poison because it comes wrapped in smiles. Toxicity doesn't arrive with warnings. It comes disguised as concern, as advice, as misunderstood love. And meanwhile, you stay there, justifying behaviors that destroy you, defending the one who sinks you, believing that you are the problem. You know what's the most twisted part? You've been carrying that toxicity for so long that you can't even distinguish it anymore. It has become part of your everyday life, like the air you breathe. But that air is contaminated. And even if you don't notice, it's slowly suffocating you. The question is not whether you have toxic people in your life. The question is how much longer you're going to allow them to stay. There is a brutal technique. So simple it's scary, so effective it changes lives in a matter of days. It doesn't require dramatic confrontations. You don't need to shout truths or create scenes. It's silent, surgical, definitive. And the best part is that it works because it strikes directly at the mechanism keeping toxic people in your life. Because here is the truth nobody tells you. Toxic people aren't in your life by accident. They're there because you allow them. It's not your fault that they're like that, but it is your responsibility to remove them. And that responsibility begins when you understand something fundamental about human psychology. Toxic people need your attention to survive. Without it, they wither. Think about it. Every time you respond to their provocations, every time you justify your life to them, every time you try to make them understand your point of view, you're giving them exactly what they seek: your energy, your time, your peace of mind. They are emotional vampires, and you are the voluntary donor. The technique I'm talking about has a simple but powerful name: strategic indifference. Wait. Before you think it's just ignoring someone, let me explain the difference. Ignoring is reactive, an emotional response. Strategic indifference is an art. It's a conscious and calculated decision. It's not about giving someone the silent treatment like an angry teenager. It's about removing the fuel that feeds their toxicity. Psychologists have studied this for decades, and the results are clear. When a toxic person stops receiving the reaction they seek, their brain enters a state of confusion. They expect drama, they expect responses, they expect you to join their game. And when you don't, when you simply stop being emotionally available, something fascinating happens. They leave, just like that. But it's not any ordinary departure. It's a definitive retreat. Because toxic people are like emotional predators, and predators don't waste time on prey that doesn't react. They seek vulnerability, engagement, reaction. If they don't find it, they move on. Now, implementing this requires understanding the 3 psychological phases you'll go through. The first is the recognition phase. This is where you identify who is truly toxic in your life. And be careful, because it's not as obvious as you think. Toxicity has 1,000 faces. There's the friend who always has a criticism disguised as a joke, the family member who reminds you of your failures every time you try something new, the partner who makes you feel guilty for having your own ambitions, the coworker who sabotages your accomplishments with passive-aggressive comments. The key is noticing how you feel after interacting with them. If you walk away exhausted, if you question yourself, if something in you dims every time they're around, there's your answer. Your body knows before your mind does. The anxiety you feel is not random. It's your internal alarm system telling you that something is wrong. The second phase is the hardest: implementation. This is where you apply strategic indifference. And no, I'm not talking about being rude. I'm talking about something far more powerful. You answer with monosyllables when before you gave long explanations. You stop justifying yourself when they criticize your decisions. You don't react when they try to provoke you. You don't fight. You don't defend yourself. You simply stop participating in the game. It's as if you suddenly became invisible to them. And this, trust me, completely throws them off. Because the toxic person operates under a simple equation: provocation equals reaction. When you break that equation, when you stop being predictable, they lose control. And loss of control is something they cannot tolerate. They will try to intensify their attacks at first. They will do more extreme things to get a response out of you. Psychologists call this the extinction burst. When a behavior stops working, before it disappears, it intensifies. A desperate last attempt. But this is where you cannot falter. Maintain your indifference. Don't fall into the trap. The third phase is transformation. This happens when you've spent days, maybe weeks, applying the technique. Suddenly you notice something strange. That toxic person begins to distance themselves. The calls decrease. The messages become sporadic. The casual encounters evaporate. And one day you realize they simply aren't there anymore. There was no fight, no drama, no confrontation. They just left because they no longer found in you what they were looking for. And here's the best part. You don't even miss their absence. On the contrary, you feel something you haven't felt in a long time: lightness, as if an invisible weight had been lifted off your shoulders. Because that's exactly what happened. You removed an emotional parasite. But there's a deeper psychological component you need to understand. The reason this technique works so well has to do with something called intermittent reinforcement. Toxic people have conditioned you like one of Pavlov's dogs. They've trained you to respond to their stimuli. A criticism here, a hurtful comment there, a dose of guilt, a touch of manipulation. And you, without realizing it, have learned to dance to their rhythm. Strategic indifference breaks that conditioning. It's like resetting your brain. Suddenly, the stimuli that used to trigger you have no effect. And when the conditioning breaks, the toxic relationship collapses. Now, let me tell you something that will probably make you uncomfortable. There is a reason you tolerate toxic people, and it's not the one you think. It's not because you're a good person, not because you're understanding, not because you have a big heart. It's because you are afraid. Afraid of being alone, afraid of conflict, afraid of being seen as the villain, afraid of losing a bond, even if it destroys you. And toxic people smell that. They can detect your fear like sharks detect blood in the water, and they use it against you. They keep you hooked with the perfect mix of mistreatment and occasional affection. They give you just enough warmth so you won't leave, but enough pain to keep you insecure. It's a diabolical cycle, and the only way to break it is to confront that fear. Because here's the brutal truth. You prefer being poorly accompanied over being well alone, and that preference is costing you your mental health. Think about this from an evolutionary perspective. Our ancestors needed the group to survive. Being expelled from the tribe was a death sentence. That's why we carry in our DNA that terror of exclusion, that visceral fear of being alone. But we live in a completely different world now. You no longer need a toxic tribe to survive. You can build your own connections. You can choose who you surround yourself with. You can be selective. But your primitive brain is still operating with outdated software. It still believes you need those people, even if they're destroying you. Strategic indifference is, in essence, a reprogramming. It's telling your primitive brain that it's okay to let go, that you won't die for distancing yourself from someone who harms you. Now let's talk about something nobody mentions: guilt. When you start applying this technique, you will feel guilt. Overwhelming guilt. You'll think you're being cruel, that you're being selfish, that you're abandoning someone who might need you. And this is where you have to be brutally honest with yourself. That guilt is not yours. It's something implanted in you. Toxic people are masters at making you feel responsible for their emotions, their well-being, their life. They've convinced you that if you are not there for them, you're a bad person. But that is a lie. You are not responsible for anyone's emotional health except your own. And here's the psychological twist. Feeling guilty for distancing yourself from a toxic person is exactly the sign that you need to do it. Because that guilt is the last mechanism of control they have over you. It's their final card. And when you overcome it, when you push through that guilt and move forward, that's when you truly free yourself. There's a fascinating psychological experiment that illustrates this perfectly. It's called the anxious attachment experiment. Researchers observed that when a bond is unstable, when you don't know if the other person will be there or not, your brain becomes obsessed with that person. It's an evolutionary trap. You try to predict, to control, to ensure they won't abandon you. And the more unstable the bond, the more obsessed you become. Toxic people exploit this mercilessly. They give you irregular attention. They make you feel like maybe this time it will be different. Maybe this time they'll change. And you stay there, hooked in that cycle. Strategic indifference breaks that anxious attachment. When you stop seeking their validation, when you stop trying to make them change, when you simply withdraw emotionally, the attachment dissolves. And with it, the power they had over you. But here's something crucial you must understand. This technique is not passivity. It's not resignation. It's an active and conscious decision to protect your peace of mind. Many people confuse indifference with weakness, but it's the opposite. It takes immense strength to say no without giving explanations, to hold your ground without entering debates, to protect your boundaries without feeling the need to justify them. Weak people are the ones who keep fighting battles they cannot win, the ones who keep trying to change someone who does not want to change, the ones who sacrifice their well-being to maintain a connection that destroys them. True strength lies in knowing when to walk away, in recognizing when a relationship has no salvation, in having the courage to choose yourself, even if it means being temporarily alone. And speaking of being alone, let me destroy another myth. Solitude is not your enemy. In fact, a period of solitude after cleaning your life of toxicity is exactly what you need. It's like letting a wound heal. If you keep exposing it, it never closes. You need that empty space to rebuild yourself, to remember who you are without the constant influence of voices that diminish you. Solitude gives you clarity. In the silence, without the constant noise of toxicity, you start hearing your own voice again. And that voice, that intuition you've been ignoring, is what will guide you toward real connections, toward people who add instead of subtract. Now, there is an aspect of strategic indifference that is particularly powerful. You don't give explanations. This is fundamental. When you decide to distance yourself from someone toxic, your first instinct will be to explain why. You'll want them to understand. You'll want them to see the damage they caused. You'll want an apology, closure. Forget it. Toxic people do not accept responsibility. No matter how clear your explanation is, they will twist it. They will make you look like the villain. They will victimize themselves. They will make you doubt your own perception. That's why strategic indifference is applied without announcements, without farewell speeches, without attempts to make them understand. You simply leave, silently, without giving them ammunition they can use against you. And here is the greatest irony. When you stop trying to make them understand, when you stop seeking their validation, they often begin to seek you. Because toxic people are used to you fighting for the relationship, to you trying to fix things, to you begging for their attention. When you do the opposite, when you simply disappear from their emotional radar, their ego cannot handle it. They will try to reappear with empty apologies, with promises of change, with more sophisticated manipulations. This is where many fail. They believe the person really changed. They believe this time will be different. Don't fall for that trap. It's what psychologists call hoovering, like a vacuum cleaner trying to suck you back in. Hold your position. Indifference must be permanent, not a temporary tactic. There is something else you need to know about toxic people. They have a special radar for detecting vulnerability. When you are at a low point, when you're going through something difficult, that's when they appear. Not to truly help you, but to take advantage of your weakened state. That's when you're most susceptible to their manipulation, when your defenses are down. That's why it is so important to build your internal strength before those moments arrive. Strategic indifference isn't just a technique for pushing toxic people away. It's a shield you build to protect yourself even when you're at your worst. Because when you're strong in your indifference, no matter how vulnerable you are in other areas of your life, that shield remains. Let me tell you something almost nobody says. The toxic people in your life are there because something in you resonated with their toxicity. I'm not saying it's your fault. I'm saying there is something in your history, in your patterns, in your wounds, that attracted them. Maybe you grew up in an environment where that kind of behavior was normal. Maybe you learned that love comes with conditions, with pain, with sacrifice. And now, without realizing it, you seek what feels familiar, even if it destroys you. This is crucial to understand. Because if you don't work on that, if you don't heal those patterns, you'll push away these toxic people only to attract new ones with different faces, but the same essence. Strategic indifference gives you the space to do that internal work, to break those patterns, to rewrite your definition of what you deserve. When you start applying this technique, you'll notice something interesting in the people around you. Some will support you, will understand your decision to protect your peace. Others, and this is revealing, will criticize you. They'll tell you you're cold, that you're selfish, that you're being dramatic. Pay attention to who these people are, because often they themselves have toxic behaviors they fear you'll identify too. Your decision to set boundaries makes them uncomfortable, because it forces them to question their own dynamics. Don't explain yourself to them either. Your decision to protect yourself is not up for public debate. Now let's talk about the domino effect. When you remove a toxic person from your life using strategic indifference, something magical begins to happen. Suddenly you have more energy. That energy you used to spend managing drama, defending yourself against attacks, processing hurtful comments, is now available. And you start investing it in yourself, in your projects, in your healthy relationships, in your growth. And the more you grow, the higher your standard becomes for what you allow into your life. You begin to see other toxic behaviors you used to normalize, and you apply the same technique. One by one, the emotional vampires disappear, and your life transforms, not overnight, but steadily and profoundly. Here comes an uncomfortable truth. Part of you does not want to let these people go. There is a part of you that has grown accustomed to the drama, that finds some identity in being the victim, in being the one who endures, the one who sacrifices. And when you apply strategic indifference, you are not only letting go of the toxic person, you are letting go of that version of yourself defined by that dynamic. That is scary, because it means reinventing yourself, discovering who you are without that role you've played for so long. But that fear is the doorway to your freedom. On the other side is a version of you that doesn't need drama to feel important, that doesn't need suffering to feel alive, that simply exists in peace. Strategic indifference also reveals something fundamental about respect. Toxic people do not respect you. They may say they love you, they may claim they care, but respect is not in words, it's in actions. And their actions consistently show that your boundaries do not matter, that your feelings are secondary, that your well-being is negotiable. When you apply this technique, when you maintain your indifference regardless of what tactics they use, you're teaching them something they never learned, that you respect yourself. And even though they will probably never respect you, that no longer matters because you're not seeking their validation. You have become your own source of approval. There is one last element that makes strategic indifference so powerful: its permanence. It is not a phase, not a temporary punishment, not a manipulation to make them change. It is a definitive decision to never allow certain toxicity into your life again. This requires making peace with loss. Because yes, even toxic relationships have good moments, even harmful people have redeeming qualities. But you must understand that those flashes of light do not compensate for the constant darkness. Do not cling to the good moments to justify years of mistreatment. That is living in the past. Strategic indifference is a commitment to your future, to the person you will be when you are finally surrounded by people who lift you up instead of pulling you down. So here is the final challenge. Identify that toxic person in your life right now. You already know who it is. It's the first person that came to mind when you began reading this. And tomorrow morning, when you wake up, begin. Not with a confrontation, not with an ultimatum, not with explanations. Simply withdraw your energy. Stop responding with the same intensity. Stop justifying yourself. Stop participating in the game. And watch. Within a week, within a month, you'll see that person begin to fade from your life. And in their place, you will find something you haven't had in a long time. Peace. True peace is not the absence of problems. It is the absence of people who create unnecessary problems. And that peace, believe me, is worth more than any toxic relationship you are clinging to maintain. Indifference is not cruelty, it is self-preservation. And preserving yourself is not selfishness, it is survival. Do this once, and you will see your life change forever. Indifference is not cruelty, it is self-preservation. And preserving yourself is not selfishness, it is survival. Do this once, and you will see your life change forever. Because at the end of the day, the most important lesson you will ever learn is this: your peace of mind is non-negotiable. It's not something you should sacrifice to keep someone else happy. It's not something you should give in exchange for being accepted. Your peace is the foundation upon which you build everything else. And when you protect it with the ferocity it deserves, when you use indifference as the shield it is, not only do you repel the toxic, you become someone toxic people cannot even approach. Because a person who respects themselves radiates an energy emotional vampires cannot tolerate. and that is the real victory.